Welcome back. You're watching NewsX with me, Malvika, and we're looking at the top story. On January 3rd, 2026, US forces executed a large-scale military operation in Caracas, codenamed Operation Absolute Resolve. This involved over 150 aircraft, elite special forces including the Delta Force, and extensive intelligence gathering over months, including details on Maduro's routines, residence, and an insider source. Maduro and his wife Cilia Flores were captured from their fortified residence during a pre-dawn raid. They surrendered and were initially transported to the USS Iwo Jima, then flown to New York. They arrived in US custody on January 3rd, processed at DEA headquarters in Manhattan, including a publicized walk, and transferred to the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. Now, both are in US federal custody in New York, facing a superseding indictment on charges including narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, and illegal possession of machine guns and destructive devices. Let's in fact take a look at the leaders charged under the indictment released by the United States District Court in New York. Now remember, of course, we had accessed the charge sheet that the US has presented against Maduro and taken you through it in some detail, and we now take a closer look at all of the leaders who have been named in the US charge sheet. So firstly, of course, you have Nicolás Maduro Moros, so that is the Venezuelan leader. And the charge sheet there states moved loads of cocaine under the protection of Venezuelan law enforcement. So this is why Maduro Moros is named in the charge sheet, and he's accused of drug trafficking by using Venezuelan law enforcement. The other charges that have been named against him is provided Venezuelan diplomatic passports to drug traffickers. So another very big point that has been raised in the charge sheet is that he provided diplomatic passports to drug traffickers to facilitate the drug trafficking. Facilitated diplomatic cover for planes used by money launderers. So it's said that he used his position, he used these diplomatic channels to facilitate these drug trafficking and money laundering charges that have been brought against him. At the forefront of corruption and uses his illegally obtained authority to transport thousands of tons of cocaine to the United States. So of course, an emphasis on how his presidency was illegally obtained, and of course, if you remember, the United States does not recognize him as the rightful leader of Venezuela. We then have Diosdado Cabello Rondon, who's the other person named in the charge sheet and a top functionary in Maduro's government, Minister of the Interior, Justice and Peace, widely recognized as one of the most powerful officials in Venezuela. So that is the charge that has been brought against him. That is what the charge sheet says, in fact, about him, that he is recognized as one of the most powerful leaders in Venezuela. Accused of receiving a bribe to ensure that those who had assisted traffickers at the Maiqueta airport would not be arrested. So it is said that he also helped ensure that those who were arrested on drug trafficking charges, those who were charged with drug trafficking were not arrested. Then we have Cilia Adela Flores de Maduro, and that of course is President Maduro's wife, who's the de facto first lady of Venezuela, alleged to have worked together with Maduro to traffic cocaine. So she is of course also accused of being a part of this drug trafficking and profiting off of the drug trafficking that was taking place. Accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribes to broker a meeting between a large-scale drug trafficker and the director of Venezuela's National Anti-Drug Office. So a major charge that has been named against her is that she facilitated this meeting between a large-scale drug trafficker and the head of Venezuela's Anti-Drug Office. We then have Nicolás Ernesto Maduro Guerra. That of course is Nicolás Maduro's son, member of Venezuela's National Assembly as well. Allegedly transported large packets of drugs wrapped in tape. So he in fact is accused of being one of the people who was himself trafficking the drugs wrapped in tape. Then we also have Ramon Rodriguez Chacin, who is another person who has been named. He's a former Minister of the Interior, also a functionary in Maduro's government, maintained a large estate in Barina State, Venezuela, which contained a large FARC encampment and training school. So that is the main charge that has been named against him. That is what he's accused of, maintaining a large estate in the area, allegedly accepted tens of thousands of dollars in bribes to use his corrupt influence to shield a large-scale drug trafficker from arrest and extradition. So he's also accused of accepting bribes in order to ensure that drug traffickers did not face charges, they were not extradited. We also have Hector Rustenford Guerrero Flores. So that is another person who has been named in the charge sheet. He is also known as Nino Guerrero, the leader of the Tren de Aragua, that is the TDA. So that is one of the drug establishments that Maduro is accused of collaborating with. He is accused of providing protection for cocaine shipments moving through Venezuela, providing armed men who carried automatic weapons and grenades. So that is the charge that has of course been brought against him. He protected these cocaine shipments, and he was the one who was helping facilitate these drug trafficking charges that the Venezuelan president is being accused of by the United States, and the formal indictment has now been brought against him by the US, and it is said that he will be facing justice on US soil by the United States. That is what the Attorney General Pam Bondi has in fact stated. And we just took you through the details of who exactly are these people who have been named by the United States of America when it presents this indictment. So those are the details that of course we took you through, all of the people who have been charged by the United States of America. I have my colleague Aditya Vadavan joining me for more details. Aditya, we've seen this document by the United States of America and we've gone through it in some detail. We've also spoken about the people who the United States is charging. Take us through the details of who these people are and what are they being accused of. Well, we'll try to reconnect with Aditya over there, but those were the details that we took you through. It's not just Maduro, of course, his wife and his son have been named, 2 senior functionaries of his government have been named, and they have all been accused of taking bribes, of facilitating the drug trade, and of course of protecting drug traffickers as well. Aditya is back with us on the broadcast. Aditya, take us through all of the people that the United States is charging, and what exactly are the charges that are being brought against them by the USA?
Absolutely, the Trump administration has charged Maduro and his wife of trafficking drugs into the United States, and definitely an active member of the several drug cartels. Indeed, at this juncture, after the shocking capture of Venezuelan President Maduro, Trump has issued now warning to Colombia also, because these are some of the South American countries that are known for trafficking cocaine. Specifically, we talk about cocaine is something that the Trump administration is repeatedly saying. Trump has been saying that definitely he has been accused of trafficking cocaine, and definitely the couple, Maduro and his wife, who have been brought back to the United States, are likely to be imprisoned in federal custody and face criminal charges in connection with the Justice Department indictment accusing them of engaging in narco-terrorism conspiracy. Definitely, if you see, in the background, Malvika, if you see, Maduro ruled Venezuela for over 13 years before being captured following an extraordinary U.S. military operation yesterday. And the 63-year-old South American leader rose to power from humble beginnings and is known to be a former bus driver and a union activist. And definitely, if you see, there are several serious charges that the Trump administration has put on Maduro, that he has been very, very active in with the drug cartel, with the Venezuelan drug cartel. And so indeed, this will involve a long case against him and his wife, and definitely if you see, there could be troubles, lining up for him, because there are significant concerns that he has been open. Definitely, he has been charged with with pushing drugs. So indeed, at this juncture, it needs to be seen how things move forward in this domain. Malvika.
Absolutely, Aditya. And when we take a look at this charge sheet that the United States is bringing against the accused, we see that there are a number of things such as narco-terrorism, drug trafficking, and even a possession of arms that is being brought against them. Take us through some of what the United States is accusing them of, and what exactly are they being accused of currently?
Well, definitely, as far as, he has been saying that, definitely he has been saying that the Trump administration was very critical of this Maduro. Time and again, we have seen statements from US President Trump wherein he has accused Maduro of, pushing, being involved in corruption as well. And definitely, drug was one of the major, incident, when that he has been accusing that, Maduro was involved in pushing up drugs, and definitely it is a testament to the fact that there have been several critics of Maduro in the past also, considering the fact that in terms of scale, and it was virtually unprecedented. This capture, if you see, the way they have captured this Maduro is not very incredible. This is happening for the first time that such a capture has happened by the United States. And now, indeed, if you see, this Maduro has been a controversial leader in the political, spectrum, in the political scenario of Venezuela, and definitely a federal indictment charging Venezuelan President Maduro and his wife and 4 other people with narco-terrorism, conspiracy and other charges was unsealed and posted online by U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. For over 25 years, leaders of Venezuela have abused their positions of public trust and corrupted once legitimate institutions to import tons of cocaine into the U.S. This is what the indictment in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York alleges. In addition to the narco-terrorism conspiracy charge, the indictment alleges counts of cocaine importation, conspiracy, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, and conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices. A federal, the indictment has charged the Venezuelan president, his wife, and 4 other people with narco-terrorism conspiracy. And definitely, if you see, these charges are very serious in nature. And in addition to Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores, the indictment also charges Maduro's son, Nicolás Ernesto Maduro Guevara, Diosdado Cabello Rondon, Ramon Rodriguez Chalchin, and Hector Rutherford Guerrero Flores. So indeed, the indictment said, and I quote, Nicolás Maduro's Moros, the defendant, now sits atop a corrupt, illegitimate government that for decades has leveraged government power to protect and promote illegal activity, including drug trafficking. And that drug trafficking has enriched and entrenched Venezuela's political and military elite, including Minister of the Interior, Justice and Peace, Diosdado Cabello Rondon, the defendant, and former Minister of the Interior and Justice, Ramon Rodriguez Chalchin. Guerrero was identified as the leader of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. So, Malvika, all these details, point to the fact that, the U.S. Justice, now the U.S. Attorney General has leveled serious charges against this Maduro government, and definitely it is very likely that he and his family and some of his colleagues are expected to face some tougher problems in the United States.